Hi dear audience, hope you would be fine. Today in this short video we would be talking on how to develop the literature review of your research. Basically, literature review is the foundation or like that of the backbone of our study. The more we are deeply induce ourselves into the literature review, the more we clear in our literature review, the more definite we would be in our study. Basically, literature review provides us that a sense of tradition. Means that what has already been done in this area or the field of study. So there are some steps how to develop the literature review, which we have to stepwise. It's not that just go into tracing out those papers, but it is scientific. As research is the scientific, similarly going into the literature review and particular literature, that's very technical. So while doing and developing our literature review, we have to identify our context of the study. For example, I usually talk to my audience that my area is the post 9/11. So whichever book I would be reading, that is particularly related to that of the 9/11, and then identifying the research gaps. I myself have done the same, that when I searched that 9/11, then there was a lot of literature review available on it. There was some novels, scientific theories, political theories, all that was there. Then I defined that then I came to across the two stages or the two types of trauma, which was particularly to the 9/11. One was the emotional and other was the cultural. And then I came to the cultural trauma, and then cultural trauma was starting from that of the Holocaust. Then I locate myself with the specifications of the cultural trauma of 9/11, and then I related it to the particular theorist J.C. Alexander and then Steve Krapf. So we have to identify our research gaps from the existing literature, and then we have to demonstrate our familiarity with the relevant literature. So these are the steps which we have to take into consideration while doing our literature review. Define your research question. It's not that just go on that. If you are clear in research question is basically provide you the answer of what means what you wanted to do. And first develop your research question, and then according to that, means while doing the literature review or while searching some text and databases for the literature review, always keep in mind your research question. If you are not clear in research question, if you are not having any predefined agenda, then means what you are going to search out, then definitely you would be plunging into different oceans without any clear and definite results. So clearly articulate your research question and objectives. This will help you to identify the specific areas of literature to review and provide focus on your literature research. Means for example, if I want to conduct a particular for example cultural perspective, for example if I want to conduct a research on the sense of shame of identity. So the shame of identity is a post-colonial term and acculturation and all that. So while doing research, I would be definitely doing my core word would be that of shame of identity. So the shame of identity at workplace, shame of identity in post-colonial context, shame of identity shame through linguistic, means for example, if everyone is speaking English and there one standing is in an Arabic, So he might be facing that shame because of his language. So someone, if for example 10 people are wearing a same dress code, one is wearing the different one, he might be feeling that sense of shame on account of his dress code. So these are the factors, for example language, cultural differences, linguistic differences, color differences, ethnic differences, religious differences. These might be the contributing factor towards that of the shame of identity. So when I would be particularly clear in my mind that my focus is on that shame of identity, then I would be clearly and more definitely, more clearly, more organized in an organized way. I would be focusing on those factors which cause that of the sense of shame and shame for regarding that of the identity. Then the second step is that determine your research strategy, how I would do, from where I have to do this. For example, students perceive that definitely Google is a main source of retrieving the books and the journals and all that, but you should have to dive particularly into that area. For example, Google is not your mentor. Google does not know your mind. Google can satisfy your needs, but it does not know your needs. So you have to define your own needs as well, and then you have to ask your Google. Then it may help you. So decide on appropriate sources to search for the relevant literature. This may be academic databases from different universities, from different libraries, online libraries, then research journals, conference proceedings. Basically, conference proceedings have their different sections. For example, there might be a conference on language and literature, so they would be having one section on literature and other section on linguistics, and particularly then on ELT and semantics and all that, they have a separate categorized topic and conference proceeding. So books and reputable data websites. Consult your academic institutions, library resources and research guides to identify the most relevant databases. If you ask me the question, sir, suggest me some like this, then I would be definitely suggesting you that of the LibGen. LibGen is a free online website on which you have to just write on the Google www.libgen, library genesis, libgen.io. Click that, and then there would be a long strip. Write down over there means any your keyword. Then there would be a lot of books on that. Then go on that, get it downloaded and just read out. And if it's not relevant to you, then delete it. Otherwise, get the benefited. So all my audience, I just request you or suggest you to be the user of the LibGen. That is very much helpful in our academic terms. So the next step which we have to do, that conduct a systematic research. Use your defined research terms and criteria to systematically search for literature, refine and narrow down. It's like that usually we see some sort of a gap as we have a body. So our head is basically our study, our abstract, our research question, and our body as like if I take the example of our body. So except my head, the whole body is basically literature review. So define those search terms and criteria to systematically search for literature, refine and then narrow down your research as you can go, considering relevant keywords, filters. These are the publication dates. For example, if I write my area of PhD is basically the cultural trauma, post 9/11 cultural trauma. So if I, for example, am going to search out the recent literature, then I would be writing like this, that the recent research articles on cultural trauma. So when I just write the recent, then it would be the Google would be giving the latest articles on the top, means the articles published in the year 2023. So then cultural trauma is defined. Google has not to just go anything on the trauma, but it is particularly trauma, but the articles which have been recently. For example, if I know a particular writer who has published his work in 2023, then I may write down, means the work of this or that author on that date. So we should have to be very much scientific while developing the literature review. Then the fourth point is review and select the relevant sources. Evaluate the research results, means it's not just grabbing and collecting the things, and it is more to selecting. What everything is not in this word to read. Everything in this word is to read as well, and everything is in this word is not to read as well. So keep in mind this that when I say that everything in this word is to read, it means that anything that is written can teach you a lesson, can give you a destiny. So this is a sense of motivation for the readers. Then one is supposed to read everything which is in the word, but when you are conducting the research, then it is not necessary for you that you have to read each and everything. Then just get the selected things, and which are selected means which are focused and relevant to your research. So evaluate the research results and select the most relevant sources of your literature review. Consider factors such as credibility of the authors. For example, on the PhD level or on the master's level, MPhil level, you cannot just paste the references from simple just Google like that, Wikipedia and all that. So you have to give some books. If you are doing the research on PhD level, then you have to definitely give some authentic references from the Oxford University, from Cambridge University, or some significant publishing press as well. So publication venue and the relevance of the content to your research topic, you have to focus on these. And then read and analyze the selected literature. Carefully read and critically analyze the selected sources. Take notes on the key findings. It's not just, by the end I would be again repeating that it's not just collecting the information and putting on the pages, but it is like that what might be the flawed in that particular theory. For example, the theory of Marx have been given, Karl Marx, that was proposed in 1857. So 250 years have passed, but still that theory is relevant, and still people are working on that. So take out that what particular aspects you are going to of that theory you are going to take for your study, or for what was the flawed in already existing studies, which of which gap you are going to fill right now. So take notes on the key findings, methodologies used, theories discussed, and any other relevant information. Look for similarities, contradiction, and gaps in the literature that can inform your study. For example, when you are going to do the literature review, then you have to point out by the end of that review of study that this study was having a particular missed information, or this gap has not been filled. Therefore, as this gap is still remaining, so it is going to contribute, or I may talk on this gap in my study. Then organize the literature review. As reading and collecting literature review is difficult, Similarly, organizing literature review also this one. It should be in the logical order. For example, it's not like that I should have to start from the year from where that situation started. For example, usually in the research reviews, the reviewers suggest that it should be in chronological order. Chronological order means the book which has been written for the first on that should be referenced as first, and then later on. But in my talk, I am also focusing on that of the logical structure as well. So the book should be, your literature should be in chronological order and logical order as well. Of your literature review, you can organize it chronologically to show the development of research over time, thematically to group studies based on common themes or the concepts, or methodologically to highlight different approaches used in the literature. Choose the most suitable organizational approach based on your research question and the nature of your literature review. Means you have to draw the comparison and contrast of the method of data collection, method of research which have already been used in your in the previous studies as well. Then you have to write the literature review. Begin writing your literature review by introducing the topic. For example, if I say my work is on the post 9/11 cultural trauma, the very first word which I have written in my literature review, that the word trauma has been taken from the Greek origin. Like this, you have to, a canvas, the word means from the start up to now. If I am in a very easy terms, if I have to write the literature review of human, I would start from Adam and I would end before myself. I would be an additional, I would be my own, means I would be reviewing the humans before myself. From Adam to myself, that would be the literature review, and myself and my perspective, my ideology, my understanding, my contribution, that would be the present study. In this is a very easy term to understand the literature review. So provide a concise summary of each selected source, highlighting the key findings and then their relevance to your study. Analyze the literature by identifying pattern, gaps and debates in the existing research. Conclude the literature review by summarizing the main findings and emphasizing the research gap on your study aims to address. So then revise and refine. In the second reading, there would be a lot of things which you would consider that they are irrelevant and you have to revise them or add them. Review your literature review draft for the clarity, coherence and flow. Ensure that you have properly cited all the references in APA format or MLA format. MLA and APA format are basically formats of referencing, and every university have adopted different this citation format. Some universities have adopted MLA and some have APA, but mostly universities have adopted APA format. So before going to order your citations, first consult your university that which format it is going to adopt, so do that accordingly. So to conclude, we say that and it is important to remember that literature review should not be merely a summary of the sources that he has done this, he has done this, but you have to critically evaluate, this has done this but he has missed this one, he has done this study with this reference but he has missed this aspect. For example, if someone has conducted a thematic analysis, so he might have missed that of the survey. So why not that study could have been conducted through the survey? If someone has survey, then you can trace out the themes, thematic analysis as well, and synthesize the existing knowledge to establish the foundation of your research. It should also be an ongoing process. This ongoing process means you have to relate and narrate. These were to relate means you have to relate the previous knowledge with the present one, and you have to narrate means from the previous to the contact present one as well. But in this ongoing process, you have to trace out what were the gaps in that previous research, and that can be it should also be an ongoing process that can be updated and revised as the new research emerges. And with this, be very conscious that you are going to the future literature review of your future. So try to be comprehensive of whose research gaps you are tracing today. The researcher in your future life would be citing you, would be taking you as a literature review. They would be searching out your gaps. So be careful in developing your literature review. With this, goodbye. If you have any question, you may ask me.